share with you a very significant chapter in my life. Over 25 years ago, I began a career as an entrepreneur or a business person or in sales, and I was introduced to a number of very powerful teachers, and one of the most significant teachers that I came across probably close to 30 years ago, and I'm 50 right now, so that was a long time ago, was an author by the name of Og Mandino. Very unusual name, Og, short for Augustine, I believe. But he wrote a number of books. The one I'm talking about is The Greatest Salesman in the World. He also wrote The Greatest Miracle in the World, The Greatest Secret in the World, and all of his books, or just about all of them, are basically a short novel that have a powerful message, and the message is usually about love, and that is actually the greatest secret in the world. But there was a book, one of those books, they were all incredible, and I highly recommend them if you can find them, was called The Greatest Salesman in the World. And at the time I was reading The Greatest Salesman in the World, I had the opportunity to practice what the book taught. The Greatest Salesman in the World is a story about a young boy who ends up learning some powerful lessons that were written in a series of scrolls that were written by this master teacher of sales. This actually takes place at the time of Christ, so it was a pretty cool story. But the scrolls, what you were supposed to do if you were to become a great salesman, were to read these scrolls every day for 30 days. And there were a number of scrolls. So the first scroll, I probably can remember at least the beginning part of it, is love is the greatest secret of success in all ventures. Muscle can destroy a shield, but only the unseen powers of love can open the hearts of men. So today, before I greet each person, I will secretly say to myself 3 times, I love you. And so what began to happen for me is I would read these scrolls, and I remember in one particular couple weeks before, I was managing a men's clothing store, and so in retail you had a chance to practice this because people would come into the store on a regular basis. So here I would actually went in the back in the storage room on a short break and would read my scroll. You know, I will greet this day with love in my heart. So the practice was, and I do have to tell you, I come from a great family and a pretty loving family, but loving people. You know, just every person that came into my life was not, by even the furthest stretch of imagination, natural for me. My ego, my natural tendency is to be very judgmental, and when I grew up, we were quite proficient at, thrashing on people, judging them, because we're all athletes, and there was a kind of a fight or flight scenario in the world that I grew up in. So being hypercritical of each other, sadly to say, my family with my brothers, it's different now, but in the people in my life, that was our modus of operandum. That was our natural way of being, or my natural way of being, was to be very critical and to find ways to cut people down. So I have to tell you honestly, this is not, or was not, the natural way for me to greet someone, either silently or outwardly. I mean, most of the time I could be very friendly and outgoing and so forth, and I have that as my personality, but that wasn't definitely what was going on the inside most of the time. So I tell you that because if you think that what I'm about to share is just, oh yeah, it's easy for you, well, no, it wasn't. It took a real commitment and a readiness to learn, but I really wanted to learn how to become better at what I did. I definitely wanted to learn how to become successful, and I thought that that meant financial success, so I was motivated. That's the good. If any of you are listening are inspired to make a lot of money or be successful in your life in any way, that's fantastic. But I have to tell you a secret. It's not for the outer rewards that you'll get. You can acquire a lot of money, and I've done that. And you can acquire an amazing lifestyle, and I've done that. But that's not really it. That's not what it's about. There are so many people in this world that have affluence and are very unhappy and very unkind and don't know the meaning of what love is about. So that's really what this message is about. So back to my story. So I was reading this scroll, and so when people came into the store, I would secretly say to them, this was not something that people knew you were doing. It was a silent practice. But when someone came into the store, I would secretly say to them, I love you, I love you, I love you 3 times. Now, for those of you who may think that's really corny, there's a part of me that does think this is the corniest thing in the world. I absolutely get that. But the experience was unlike anything I had had up until that point. Because what would happen is it would began to open up my heart. It enabled me to get in touch with a part of myself that I had only known in special situations. You know, when you're with someone that you really love, or someone's very kind to you, and your heart opens. You know, you knew what that was like. But to be able to have that experience with complete strangers, and sometimes people that maybe outwardly it felt really difficult to love, was an absolutely new experience. And the things that happened were incredible. I remember many situations where people would come into the store, and let's say